personally, I've gone through one of the worst 7 months of my life. I would never be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I respect this man.
What I have to say to that is don't let yourself get demoralized. Surround yourself with brothers who can inspire you and you can inspire them.
Alhamdulillah, I could lean over and kiss you right now, bro. What are your opinions on the red?
It's gay because you're literally working for nothing. It's paper.
Yeah, somebody's gonna flip the burgers, bro.
I look at most people nowadays and I'm like, how did you manage to reproduce? Imagine getting like full on just slammed right in the face.
You gonna slam me in the face right now? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of the podcast. And today is a very, very special podcast episode. We're doing episode 20 in person with the Rubiani.Reverted, who flew out all the way from Alabama just to sit down on a podcast episode with the highest testosterone individual in the entirety of the Northern Hemisphere, Shahab-Khan himself. How was the flight, Rubiani?
Smooth. Alhamdulillah, it was smooth. Much faster and quicker than I think because I live all the way down the south of America, basically. So it was quite easy, quick flight. So alhamdulillah, it was all good.
Alhamdulillah. What are your first impressions of Toronto so far?
I was a little bit disappointed. I thought it would be a little bit sunnier, but I arrived, saw that security was a little bit lacking in diversity, to say the least. So far, it's been pleasant. Went around, saw that lake over there. What was it?
Lake Ontario?
Lake Ontario was very beautiful, mashallah. And but it's not about the location. It's about the people who you're with.
Exactly. And the person he's with right now is so high in testosterone. Just being in his mere presence increases your testosterone level by 10 NGDL, of course.
Couldn't be more pleased.
And now we'll start by discussing the Looksmaxxing Coaching journey here, Rubiani. How's that been treating you so far?
Oh man, alhamdulillah, it's been great. I've been getting clients and I've been working with them. You know, been getting them from like an average Joe Schmo to a nice, good-looking little Chad, you know? So alhamdulillah, it's all good. Can't complain. And look forward to doing more in the future with even more clients.
Yeah, and as a Looksmaxxing coach, you're going to focus on the content creation journey.
Absolutely.
Dive into that a little bit for both of us so far. What's been the most difficult thing so far being a content creator, especially starting out too?
Probably is the quality of the content. It's not the best at the moment, but inshallah soon we're going to get lots of upgrades and more professionalism in it. Yeah, that's probably what I would say is the hardest thing right now.
Yeah, with everybody I've had contact people, how do we start? It's very simple. It's like the video IQ talks about, just hit the record button and start. It doesn't matter how good you are in the beginning, it's you essentially doing the thing, getting feedback from that thing, especially from the people around you, then using that to improve. I've been doing this for a little bit, so obviously my ability to talk and speak is elite, to say the least. But the only way I got that far was by getting feedback from my cousins, feedback from the people around me. So I view it as human beings are sponges, so we absorb the information around us. So we have to be careful with what we let ourselves take in, right? So you must surround ourselves with excellence to become excellent. And that's exactly what you're doing, sitting in Canada here with me.
Well, I can vouch for that because ever since I've met you, a month ago now or 2, who knows at this point, I only felt the quality of my content increase and learning the ins and outs of content creation, thanks to you, of course. So
yeah, alhamdulillah. And what I find is that if you have people around you that push you to get better, that helps you to improve too. One thing for men that's really important is having brothers around you that help to support you and grow. Even just having that one negative person in your group will serve to bring the entire community down. It's like you don't want to surround yourself with the unhappy and the unlucky. And I think I read in the book, Good to Great, that even if you have the most excellent people on your team, if you have one person who's not performing, that drags down everybody else's performance because they see that one person slacking. They think, okay, if he's slacking, then what's stopping me from slacking type thing.
Absolutely. And that's actually one of the laws in the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
Avoid the unlucky and the enchanted. And that actually reminds me of like my recent experience, how I've stopped to hang out with certain groups of people and just started focusing on the people who could actually benefit me and I can benefit them. So that brings a really good point that you have to surround yourself with excellence and brothers who have the same vision as you. Because if not, you're going to be hanging around Joe Schmo and you're going to ultimately end up as Joe Schmo. And you don't want to be Joe Schmo because life is already hard enough as it is.
Yeah, and as a man, the most important thing is to chase your purpose, your vision, and your mission. And avoiding anything that serves as a distraction to stop you from doing that. Like personally, I've gone through one of the worst 7 months of my life. And Rubiani can serve to attest for that. And why? It's because I started to prioritize things that I should have been prioritizing, but I compromised my values. And what did that do? I would never be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I respect this man. I lost respect for myself, and that resulted in everybody around me losing respect for me because I knew I was compromising my values. The only thing a man has, the only thing a man dies with is his values. It's also the impact he leaves on the people around us too. And inshallah, we will leave a massive impact. The greatest impact, the best impact.
That's the purposes we've been given by our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to claim authority on this earth and project our vision, obviously for the good and for the sake of Allah and what is righteous. It's very important to always keep that in mind. And, to the last 7 months, it's also important to know that you can always repent. Repentance is super, super important. And you can amend your ways and promise to never go back with them. And I believe your life is ultimately gonna just flourish.
Yeah, and that reminds me of, I recently read in the Quran, I read the study Quran. So in the study Quran, they talk about how God is so merciful that even Satan will extend his neck on the day of judgment to receive God's mercy. And if Satan knows God is that merciful, then what's stopping us from believing in the mercy of God? I believe that a lot of issues Westerners have is they view God from the aspect that he's this all patriarchal authority figure where he's projecting rule. But when you look in the hadith literature, you see that about 1% of it is rules, while the rest isn't. It's more so parables and stories. Why? Because human beings learn through stories. They learn through narratives. Correct? And that's what you see throughout the Quran, especially Surah Yusuf. Surah Yusuf is that one story that everybody loves. And your reverted name is Yusuf too.
It is. That was actually, that his story inspired me to take on the name Yusuf.
Yeah.
Also that he was, said to own half of humanity's beauty. So I claim I like to think of myself as rather handsome. So I thought the name Yusuf was rather fitting.
The one story that really stuck out to me is the importance of sisters. I know this is a bit off topic, but I really want to hit this point because I feel that as young men, we sometimes take advantage of our sisters. Like, for example, with me, with my youngest sister, I always tell her, go do this for me, go do that for me. I want water, I want food. And she goes and does it, right? And I was sitting in my friend's wedding. His sister came up to tell a story about the Prophet Yusuf. The story goes as so. So all of his brothers threw him into the well. That stated that if he had a single sister, her love for her brother would have stopped that from happening. And I'm like, subhanAllah. My entire life I've been complaining about the fact that 3 sisters. 2 really. 2 sisters. And not 3 sisters, I'm joking. I've always wanted a brother, right? But I never look at the beauty my sisters provide me. The happiness and joy I get from simply talking to them, spending time with them. It's like, as men, we always take advantage, or we always think about what we don't have rather than what we do have. And the results in us being ungrateful. And that's one thing we recently started doing is like, the 15 things we're grateful for in the morning. I'm not gonna lie, since I started doing that, bro, I feel like my life is slowly but surely getting on track.
Absolutely.
And everybody starts to have their down moments, right? Do you mind talking about you recently before you came? We were walking to the studio. You're talking about how recently things have been looking very, very down for you. Do you mind describing that a little bit?
I can, actually. I'm going to go into that. And one thing I have to say about that is living the life it's not a bad life. Alhamdulillah, I have everything I want. I go to bed with a full stomach, I get my sleep. I have a wife, alhamdulillah. I have all these amazing things. And I almost feel ungrateful, and I feel like I shouldn't be complaining about not having certain things. Like you just mentioned, we look at what we don't have. And it's true. But I have to say that when living a 9-to-5 kind of life, working, slaving away at especially like the physical labor that I do currently, sometimes it can serve as a bit of a demoralization, knowing the things that I know, such as, the money isn't even remotely real, it's backed by nothing. All these things just, they stick in your psyche, and you're just always constantly thinking about them, and it's just constantly demoralizing you. This is where having strong brothers come into action, because every time I spoke to you on the phone, my spirit would be uplifted, and I would see hope. I could see the nur in your eyes. I could just see it all, and it would just inspire me and would lighten up my day. And I'd be like, you know what? Let's rock and roll. We're gonna do this. And what I have to say to that is, don't let yourself get demoralized. Surround yourself with brothers who can inspire you, and you can inspire them. You guys are all that you have. We're all that we have, and we have to serve each other so we can fulfill our maximum potential.
Alhamdulillah, I could lean over and kiss you right now, bro. But it's all good. Not right now. Maybe later after the podcast episode. Yeah, I'll give you a leaderboard on the cheek. And on the cheek, of course. On the cheek.
No, no homo, guys. No
Yeah,
homo.
yeah. If Rubiani's wife is watching, definitely on the cheek. Nowhere else. I promise. I promise. I promise. So as men, the only thing we can do is serve to inspire the people around us, to give hope to those who feel hopeless. That's what we're aiming to do with the podcast going forward. Because I feel like in today's modern digital society, the biggest problem I see online is everybody's consistently comparing themselves to others. And even in terms of religious creators, it's more so people look at them with envy. There's not much inspiration, not much hope being inspired in the hearts of those who need it. Like, for example, I've gone through a bout of recently, the last 2 months, I was very, quote, say the word depressed. I do want to talk about depression. I do believe it's a first world problem. If you're in the third world, you don't really have time to be depressed, right? If your house is getting bombed, you're losing parents. I'm trying to find a way to word this without getting too controversial. You don't have time to be depressed. The only thing you can focus on are your direct needs. When am I going to get food? When am I going to get water? It's like fulfilling Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And that's also a recent thing Safi talked about on a podcast episode with me too, is that we look at our parents in a manner where we say, oh, they never focus on their mental health, but they didn't really have time to focus on their mental health, and especially from the countries where we're from, because they always focus on fulfilling their needs and their desire, their basic needs first, and then focusing on their mental health. And that's resulted in the older generations not being focused on it. But I do believe, like, civilizations go in cycles. So we'll see very soon what's going to happen.
We will see.
But yeah, during those moments of depression, I'll sit down and I'll think to myself, like, why am I depressed right now when there's people out there that are suffering more than me? And I felt like so privileged at the fact that I'm just looking at the minuscule things in my life and talking about being depressed or saying depressed. I wouldn't even be able to look at my mirror thinking, I know I've said that like 3-4 times, being able to look in the mirror, but yeah, it's like the most important thing for a man, in my opinion, is to be able to look at yourself proudly in the mirror and say, I'm moving towards what I'm doing. So when I'm unable to do that, I feel so stalled in terms of my progress. And it's not even making money more so. It's more so that I feel like progressing to a goal is extremely important.
That's part of your purpose as a man, is fulfilling the vision that you see in your mind. And you want to inspire others. You want to bring those along with you, inspire them, bring them out of that depression, because like you said, it is a first world problem, but nevertheless, it is still a problem. But I believe that all problems have a solution.
Mhm.
And I just believe in the masculine brotherhood and just having each other and knowing that we've got each other, And I also believe that having a strong woman by your side who is there to support you and loves you and, even hears you out at times, I think is also super important, because I believe that women can either make or break a man.
Discussing women, what are your opinions on the Red Pill?
It's gay. They
What do you
obsess
mean?
over women. That's all they do, is they basically pedestalize them, and they have an extreme outlook on women, and basically they say, oh, women are this and this and that, they're gonna cheat on you, blah blah, this and that. And I deBelieve they just hyperinflate a problem more than it needs to be, because ultimately, the person's doing this to themselves. They're going out and finding those degenerate women. They're the ones seeking these women from said places that are not the most halal places to be. I believe that they're pedestalizing them, they're hyperinflating the problem. At the end of the day, I think it's a huge waste of time. I mean, obviously, I guess they have some good solutions, but they're sort of not the problem of the ummah. It's something we should really have to focus on.
What do you think of Rollo Tomasi, bro?
I think Rollo Tomasi is something else. I mean, I don't understand why he would recommend a vasectomy to freaking 20-year-olds. That's stupid. You're basically castrating yourself. What is it? You have to sleep with 50 women in order to get to know a woman. Whatever. Like, I don't understand that. I never will. I personally rather take the God pill, the green pill, whatever you want to call it, and follow the Sunnah and follow the teachings of Islam.
You went down that pathway for a little bit before converting. Do you mind describing how that pathway made you feel?
Empty, alone, nihilistic, unworthy. Just all these terrible things that one can experience in this dunya, Because I was able to experience it all down in my time in Puerto Rico. Because over there, if you know anything about Puerto Rico, it's quite a party down there. I was able to experience all that, and that's ultimately what led me into looking into God.
What did you use to fulfill that emptiness you felt?
Parties, women, alcohol, all these sinful activities to distract myself from my true purpose in life, which is to submit to the Almighty.
That's the point I wanted you to make, is that people use alcohol or smoking as a way to use a short-term pleasure to fix a long-term solution. They use that to fulfill their emptiness, to solve the direct problems they're facing. Rather than actually facing the problems, they run away from the obstacle. The only way to experience growth is by truly facing that obstacle and learning from it and using that to improve. I feel like one problem I've had is I feel like I should know how to solve the problem because of all these books I've read, right? But at the end of the day, I'm human. I'm not treating myself as a human being. I'm treating myself as a robot that's got all this knowledge and I should be applying it. Because when we hear be patient, show sabr in the moments of difficulty, verily with every hardship comes ease. It's so easy for us to say these things, but to practice it is a completely different thing.
I believe in giving yourself grace. I really do. That's actually something I learned from my wife. Because my wife, sometimes she's on the phone and she'll hear me talking about how my I'll be just blabbering out about how I'm not doing good enough and how I want to give her the world and I want to do all these things for her, but I'm failing myself and I'm failing her. And she taught me about giving myself grace. And I think it's super important because I've been able to apply that as of recently and it changes your life almost. Like you're not so disappointed and you're not so demoralized at yourself when you don't get said outcome. You understand?
How do you apply grace to yourself?
You have to know that it's going to be okay. You have to have faith that Allah has a plan for all of us. And I know it's easier said than done, but if you truly take it in, it's going to do wonders for your life. And I've been able to take off the pressure off my shoulders and I've just focused and I've been able to sit down and say, you know what? My job is to do my best and the rest is in Allah's hand.
Do you think that comes from starting to do the activity rather than sitting and avoiding it, allowing that uncertainty to cloud your mind?
Right, I understand that what you're saying.
So it's more so the fact that we should focus on doing to stay in the present moment rather than spending so much time deliberating in action.
Yes, I think it's the most, actually, that was one thing I also learned from you that was really important. I think it's been able to enable my growth so far in the last month or two is you just do it. Take action. Because you're not going to go get nowhere by sitting down and just staying in your mind and stuck.
It's dream big, act now. Where what you want to do is sometimes you want to sit down and reflect. Am I actually moving to my dreams? The thing with consistently taking action is sometimes what happens is I do this a lot. Is I just go and I take the action, I just do it, but I don't sit down and reflect on what I'm doing. And it results in me making very dumb mistakes. So there's always a balance you need to find between doing and reflecting. But what I do find is people move to an extreme. They don't actually find that middle ground specifically for themselves. Where you want to take action, then you want to take a step back and see where you're moving. Are you moving to your vision? And that's where the entrepreneurial mind's perspective comes from. Is you want to project yourself into the future, see where you want to go. That's where you want to first build an attractive character. See where you want to be 5-10 years down the line. Bring yourself to where you are now. And then see what 5 steps you need to take. One thing I do that results in a lot of paralysis analysis is people get so confused. But, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. This going on. It's simply sitting down, relaxing, taking a deep breath and realizing by priority, what's the most important 5 next steps I have to do to get to that goal. And that's a big thing in content creation people don't realize. Is I've talked to several people. Rubiani knows this because I always sit down and complain about it after. And I'm sorry about that, Rubiani. And I see these guys, they're always talking about, oh, this, oh, that. How much time does it take? What are you doing? What software are you using? What camera are you using? Like, bro, don't ask me all these questions. This is stuff you can just research yourself. Where you should be asking me for advice along the path you're going in terms of content creation. For example, you record a video, then you ask, okay, what can I do to get better? It's like how we're doing it. You record a video, you ask Shahab, what can I do better? That's better than you simply sitting down and asking me a million questions because I have to waste my time, take time out of my day. I know it sounds bad. Like I have to take 3-4 hours time out of my day to spend telling you what to do. Why would I do that for free type thing? I should be spending time focusing on moving my channel forward because even now my channel's not that big too, right? I just tapped the glass like a bozo. Now I lost my train of thought.
I think it's better for most people to not know the how and just really kind of look at the wow per se and just take action. Because if you're constantly thinking about, oh, I got to do this, or I got to do that, I got to do that, I got to the other, what am I doing here? Like this, that, just do it. You're going to get better. It's okay. No one's going to watch your first, 10, 15 videos. No one's going to watch them. So it doesn't even matter. So just take action. There's no point in being like, oh, how do you do this? And what's the best thing for that? Like, no, and it's not necessary. It's all long. You don't need to do none of that.
Yeah, today you simply need a phone. You just hit the record button and you start. Why are you asking me what camera you're using? Why are you asking me what software you're using? Just start. Like you got CapCut, boom, just like that. Start making shorts, post it. Then inshallah the algorithm starts picking it up slowly, slowly, slowly. But obviously you need to have patience with the algorithm because you never know when it's gonna hit. And you know, I've been sitting there making such high quality content videos. Everybody sees my videos, like, come on, bro. And the algorithm has not really picked up too many of the videos, to say that, especially the cinematic videos, bro. That's one thing that really pisses me off. Like we make a podcast episode talking about some controversial stuff, 1,000, 2,000 views. But then I spend 3-4 days making a cinematic video, scripting the video, spending time recording shots. Julian over there can attest to this. And what happens? 170 views. Now I'm sitting there holding my head, going like, what's going on? What's going on? What did I do wrong? And then I look at the underlying analytics. I'm like, you know, in hockey or sports, they say, oh, this person's an analytic darling. They have such great underlying analytic numbers. I'm looking at the YouTube analytics. I'm thinking, wow, in terms of analytics, this video should be performing. But why aren't the impressions increasing? That breaks me down so much. So much. But you still got to push through those moments. You're always going to have those down moments. There's no point getting caught up on them.
No, and I tell this to everyone, all my boys. Well, I say my boys, but I mean, you're the most high, I guess, you're the most high budget, small content creator I've ever seen in my entire life. When I first came across your channel, I thought you were a bigger guy with maybe like 15, 20K subscribers. It really does boil down to like, it's type of content that you're creating, that you're putting out there. You're putting all your all into it, and that's what matters, man. That's why I believe you're going to do so well, and inshallah, we're going to grow together, and we're going to have our brand. We're going to have our YouTube channels and everyone's going to know us. And it's only a matter of time.
Inshallah. It's like the energy put out into the world attracts the people you want to be around. For example, if I didn't start the YouTube channel, I would have never met you, Rubiani. You live in Alabama? I live in Toronto, bro. How else would we have met if it wasn't for YouTube?
Absolutely no. And the internet's a very powerful tool. Because I mean, when you're living in a city or a town or whatever, you're only limited to the people who are living in that city. And with the internet, you can find people who are like-minded and have the same vision as you and have the same mindset. And it's really important to utilize that tool and find like-minded brothers, you know?
I'm having one of those moments where I had a really, really good question lined up for this, but the question flew out my head just like this. It's gone. I don't know where it went. Let me see if I can bring it back. Sure, remember what the question. Oh, you might go into the story of how we met.
He had just released a Fayad Fit interview. And I was like, wow, mashallah, this was a really good interview. And I left a comment saying, you guys are the future, inshallah. And he had responded saying, inshallah, thank you so much. You tell me to this day, you screenshotted that, and whenever you're down, you look at it.
Yeah,
so,
I do actually.
You know, I'm really happy I was able to provide that inspiration and that, you know, positivity towards you. From there, I actually looked you up on Instagram because I was like, you know what, I really mess with this guy. I really like him, and I like his work. So I'm gonna go follow him. And, you know, he's small on Instagram, so he's obviously, he can see.
5,000 followers, verification badge.
He was small when I met it. At the time, he was small. This was back a couple months ago, before he blew up. Anyway, I had followed him, and he followed me back, and he messaged me because he saw my bio saying, I'm a Looksmaxxing coach. And he messaged me saying, hey, would you like to come on podcast or interview? Talking about Looksmaxxing. I said, of course, brother. And you mentioned at the time you thought I was some big shot because of my name, Rubiani.Reverted. You know, we got our first interview episode down, and here we are now.
Yeah, I remember specifically sitting down when we were talking, because I think we called before the actual recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I told you, look, bro, I'm not going to lie. I started YouTube more so to make friends. And I'm like, yo, you look like a great guy to be friends with. And then I sat down and I go, Rubiani, you know, I think we should record a podcast. And Rubiani said, yeah, we should. I'm like, okay, let's do it right now. And Rubiani said, okay, let's do it right now. See, just do it, bro.
Just do it.
And we didn't even prepare for that episode. We just went like this, boom, and started. What are your opinions on the black belt, bro?
They pick on the most minuscule things, and they try to basically get you to do such stupid things like penis maxing, and your upper eyelid is exposing too much, so you got to go get that fixed. Like, a lot of it is garbage. Looksmaxxing to the fundamentals is just changing what you can, obviously in a natural way, because I don't believe in getting plastic surgery and putting garbage in your face so you can look better. Like, no, none of that's needed. There's no need for any of that. I think the black pill just creates a problem, so then they can sell you the solution on it, whether it be penis maxing or plastic surgery, which I don't believe in either of those things, because I believe we're beautiful the way Allah made us, and it's just up to us to maximize the potential we were all given.
And about for 3 seconds of awkward silence, Rubiani was asking me, "Are we recording right now? Are we recording right now?" Bro, we're always recording, always recording. In fact, the entire day today, we've had a vlog camera follow us. And what we were doing the entire time? Saying some extremely controversial stuff. I don't even think we should be posting that.
Which we will now reveal
to
the audience.
Not right now, anyways. Watch the
now.
Blonde Confidential vlog episode coming very soon, very soon, very soon. I'll mostly come after or before this episode so you can see the entire behind the scenes of what's going on. Yo, personal opinion, which ring is better? This one or this one? Are you blind, bro?
I like that one.
Are you dumb, bro?
Which one do you like better?
I like, what's the other? I like this one better.
Yeah, this is my power ring.
What do you mean by power ring, bro?
It means when I'm gonna smack someone in the face, it's gonna leave like these little diamond studs right in their, you know what I'm saying, right in their cheek.
You know, sometimes I think like, oh, if somebody tries squaring up on me, bro, I'll just take my phone and go like, pop.
Or have you ever been hit by a ring? Like, I literally go like this to myself and it hurts. Imagine getting like full on just slammed right in the face.
You're gonna slam me in the face right now?
No homo.
For the podcast, bro. No comment. No comment. Of course, not the month to be talking about this. But yeah, I feel like the next segment we should be talking about our woman, because we were talking about it a little off screen with Julian over here. Big shout outs to Julian. Julian's
Is that you to scan?
I love Tate.
I don't. I think he's controlled op.
Controlled op. Define controlled op.
They create a problem and then they feed you a solution, or they create an opposition to whatever garbage they're doing, and then they feed you the heroes. And I believe Andrew Tate's that. He's just fed. He's a plant. He's just been fed to us.
What do you think the importance of taking the right heroes is?
Very important. I mean, we already have the most amazing hero in Islam. We have Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of course. I also believe that a lot of people are taking these guys as idols. I can kind of see it being a little bit problematic, to say the least, because why follow someone like Andrew Tate when you can follow someone like the Prophet? You know.
Yeah, one story that really sticks out for me from his life. You should read his biography. Yeah, you probably read his biography, right?
Yeah.
Is the story with Hind, the wife of Abu Sufyan. So during I think it was the Battle of Badr, or one of the battles, or Battle of Uhud, where Hind commanded an Abyssinian to kill Hamza, the Prophet's uncle or cousin. You guys can clarify, but I know his name is Hamza because the story really stuck out to me. And the Abyssinian killed him, and Hind ate a part of his liver. Years go by, and when they took back Mecca, the Prophet says, "I forgive all of you." And he even forgave Hind, despite the atrocity she committed against somebody so beloved to him. When I get mad at people, or when I get angry at people, when I get upset, I think back to the story and go like, if Prophet can be so forgiving, then what's stopping me from being forgiving? Why am I letting my ego stop myself from actually sitting down and forgiving the person and moving on? Because I feel like anger itself is a poison to the person who experiences it. Because it simply makes it worse. And they talk about catharsis to release the anger. What I find is anytime I do catharsis, the release of anger, I get angrier. Like Steve Jobs. He used to go, he had a property in Stanford, I think. Stanford. No, I don't remember which university. It doesn't matter. And he used to go to the hills and scream to release. But he would still be very angry with the people around him. There was a lot of pent-up anger issues with Steve Jobs. And I feel that catharsis isn't a great way to release. It's more so calming down, understanding where the emotion is coming from. Emotions is energy in motion, and then using that to channel into the correct pursuits.
In regards to anger, I believe that it does you more harm than to anyone else. Because think about it, whenever you're mad at someone and you insult them or you curse at them, you're the first person to hear those words. So you're the first person to be affected by them. Because it doesn't just affect the other person, it also affects you. Because you're saying it with, hatred, bigotry, whatever it may be, racism, whatever. You're the first person to hear those words.
They say, oh, anger, I want to get revenge on this person. I want to get revenge on that person. But the greatest revenge is casting a shadow of success so big that person becomes irrelevant to you, but they consistently live in your shadow.
Looking at my former self, where I was a year and a half ago now, I consider myself now to be 10 times the man I was then, because I'm now chasing my vision. I'm chasing future I want to achieve, and I've left all the people, all the negativity in the past. I've left them all behind, and I believe now that I'm so above them that their comments, their insults, just mean nothing to me. It bounces off like if I was Superman.
As a married man, how do you find time to balance between your wife and your vision?
There's time for everything, you know. There's time for my 9 to 5. There's times to, you know, pray, obviously, and there's time to focus on the business, and then there's time to, you know, talk to your wife. You have to find the right balance with all that. I believe having boundaries and having a standard to go by is probably going to be the best thing to do in regards to balancing with having a wife or wives if you are polygynous or whatever. You just have to have boundaries and know that, you know, shit has to get done.
People make time for the things they prioritize. So let's say in a relationship, another person's making time for you. That just means you're not a priority. So why are you wasting your time with that person?
If you don't see the person you're with as the mother of your children, then you're just wasting your time.
Didn't you buy Rumble stock, bro?
I did. I made a lot of money because Andrew Tate started speaking about it, and it went from like $4 per, I guess, share to like 13, and I bought at the perfect time. So, you know.
Oh, he tripled X.
Exactly. So Andrew Tate, I guess, was beneficial for me to an extent.
Bro, as a Looksmaxxing coach, let's say you get a client such as Julian over there, who's consistently been complaining since before you've come that you keep on missing his coaching calls, Rubiani. What's going on there, buddy? What sort of 5 Looksmaxxing tips would you give them?
5 Looksmaxxing tips I would give for Julian over here. Number 1, he's got to grow out. He's got to grow that goatee a little bit. You know, give him a little more structured face. Put a little bit of minoxidil on those eyebrows. Get your teeth straightened and whitened, and you're gonna be going from a 6 to a solid 8. And oh yeah, and you get jacked. I think that's
jacked.
5.
Out of all of us, he's the most jacked right now.
Huh?
Out of all my cousins and me, he's the most jacked.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, of course. He's the Tristan Tate. Just look at this guy, built like a truck.
I'm just that people.
Oh, he's at peak bulk. I'm on peak cut right now, so.
No, yeah. I recommend being lean and cut. It's so much better than being.
Of course, you want to prioritize the female gaze, not the male gaze, because it seems that every time very bulky guys go to the gym, it's always, bro, how'd you get so jacked, bro?
I think it's kind of gay. I mean, completely honest.
What do you mean it's kind of gay?
They always are talking about like, oh, your squat, bro, your bench. They obsess over it. And I think it's
Bro,
weird.
like your booty should be at a 90-degree angle, bro. Oh,
Bro, come on, let me feel you while you're doing your squat.
Let me spot you, bro.
We gotta get that mind to focus on the muscle movements.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, Rubiani would be saying mind focus on the muscle movements. I'm sorry, it's just a time of month for me.
We are in June, aren't we? It's time of month, isn't it?
So in terms of accessories, because you talk about accessories a lot in terms of accentuating your male features. What sort of accessories would you recommend?
First things first, you gotta have a good chain. If your chain game's whack, then it's just gonna.
No, sorry, Ruby. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Julian couldn't handle all the testosterone, so he had to walk out to go use the washroom real quick, eh?
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, but he just can't hang, can he? But yeah, no, for jewelry, definitely get a good chain. Definitely will enhance everything. Just gonna like dress yourself up more. You wearing a shirt, just gonna, it's gonna level you up basically. You want to have your rings. If you have, big, good looking hands, design them with some jewelry. Get a watch, and even if some earrings, if you can pull them off.
Of course, I definitely. I got this. Julian gave me this earring actually.
Oh, did?
I didn't pay for this, bro. He just literally poked it in, and I didn't even realize how high my pain tolerance was until I did the earring, bro.
Really?
Yeah, because before, when I did these first ones, I think it was like 4 years ago, they hurt so much. Like, they literally killed, bro. And then I did this one in my washroom at home, and it hurt even less. And that just goes to show, bro, I put myself in such difficult situations, and overcoming those painful things has resulted in my pain tolerance increasing.
Bearing the fruits of your labor, I guess.
Of course. It's even with the gym. Go right to exhaustion, because it builds that mental fortitude. The whole cycle or time. It's such an overused statement, bro. hard times make strong amends create good times create weak men create hard times. It's a consistent cycle. That's what civilizations go in cycle. The civilization itself represents the people or their psychotemporal condition. I've said this so many times. Their psyche and the generational perspective they have at that moment defines said civilization, and politics serves as a reflection of that, right? So we can clearly see the current decline where in terms of inflation, we live in Canada. I'm in Canada right now. The inflation's through the roof. Cut the cord, all of this.
It's not that much better in the US. The fact is I wake up every single morning to work for money that isn't even real. It's backed by nothing. It's just papered with someone's freaking face on it. Like, if that doesn't irk you in your soul to want to get better and just leave that 9 to 5 life behind, I don't know what will, because you're literally working for nothing. It's paper.
Yeah, somebody's gonna flip the burgers, bro. Key. Bro, those catchphrases, they always get me. It's like the thing with the disabled parking lot. We actually did it earlier on in this vlog where we parked in the disabled parking lot, and the guy goes, "Why are you parking disabled parking lot?" I'm like, I'm also disabled. Ever since I stopped caring about things, bro, life's just been so much better. It's like, why would I care about the perspective of people around me that I don't respect?
That's actually something you should live by, or I think everybody should live by.
Yeah.
To say, it's like, if you see these people who are just mindlessly going through their life and they're not even paying attention, just kind of going with the flow and whatnot, and they say something to you and you actually care what they say, like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you taking garbage from people who I think are below us, bro? Like, why? There's no point.
One thing that's really helped me is I project myself into when I'm 80 years old. I heard Alex Hormozy talking about this. And you sit down at 80 years old and you look back at all the regrets you had. Do you want one regret being that I didn't chase my dreams? I didn't accomplish my dreams simply because of what Susan, Neil, Barry, Michael said. I'm not going to let the thoughts of others stop me from accomplishing greatness. I don't want to look at God on the day of judgment and tell him, God, I didn't fulfill my potential because I was so hung up on what other people said. And that's another thing a lot of content creators struggle with is like, what's my brother going to think about this video? What's my girlfriend going to think about this video? What's my friend going to think about? Why do you care about what they think, bro? Just take action, see? And if they really care about you, they'll give you feedback and criticism. They'll help you grow, not destroy you. Because people say things out of envy because they see you accomplishing your goals, the goals they want to chase. But they're too afraid to do it.
Well, actually, now that you mentioned that, when you're reflecting when you're 80 years old in your deathbed, actually, that makes me, I'm going to wire this all the way back onto getting distracted and the distractions of this dunya. And it just reminds me of, like, did you ever care? Did you ever care that you ate more hot dogs or burgers or whatever? Are you really gonna care when you're 80 years old that you did any of that degenerate garbage?
Mhm.
Are you really gonna care? No, you're not. One is more likely to go through high amounts of pain if they know that the outcome is going to be, like, fulfilling, and it's gonna fill, like, their works. It's gonna project their entire vision. They're gonna be able to just do what they want to do. Obviously in a halal manner, but people are more inclined to go through high amounts of pain if the end result is them projecting something beneficial towards humanity.
Bro, you know what the most annoying thing is? Your life is going to be hard anyways. Either you make it hard now in the short term to achieve that delayed gratification, your goals, or you make it difficult in the long term by chasing short-term gratification. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by short-term, long-term gratification? All the stuff. So what I mean by that is either you go to the gym now, you don't go out, you focus on your business, you read books, for 3-4 years, you grow as a person. And eventually life for you is going to be easy. Like, verily with every hardship comes ease. But verily with every ease comes hardship as well. So if you start eating burgers, if you start, I don't want to go to the gym because the bench is so hard to lift. Oh, I can't even do the bar. Why? Oh, but this guy over here is looking at me. He's going, oh, he's making fun of me. Ha, 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 ha. And then you go home and you pick up the ice cream and start eating that mint ice cream watching anime, right? That's going to end up making your life harder in the long term because you're going to be 40, 50, pot belly with a girl that doesn't love you, who's asking, hey, Jim, why don't you go out and mow the lawn? Mow the lawn instead of eating Doritos, drinking Mountain Dew, and playing Call of Duty all day.
That's the reality. That's the unfortunate reality of most people nowadays.
Yeah.
I look at most people nowadays and I'm like, how did you manage to reproduce? Like, there's just, there's like, I work, I work in these baseball fields, right? And the amount of people that I look at, and I'm just like, how did you manage to procreate with another human being? Is unbelievable. Like, I look at these people with despair and I'm like, how? Like, how can you go through life being like this? How? Because I know so many 30, 35, 40-year-olds who are playing video games. Video games when you're 30, 35? How can you be playing video games at 35? You have things to do, man. You gotta go work. You gotta project yourself onto the world. But people much rather be projecting themselves into a fucking video game.
But Rubiani, I still want to level up on League of Legends and get platinum, bro. I would rather level up and play my GTA character than in real life because there's no consequences.
Bro, who cares about that? All that stuff is long. You are the GTA character, man. I don't understand why people are playing GTA. I cannot stand when I see, especially people my age, like they're just studying and playing Call of Duty and GTA, smoking weed. I'm like, what are you doing?
To work a 9-to-5 job.
Working in, it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to graduate so I can get another 9 to 5 and earn money that isn't real. Yay! And then play video games until I'm 50.
Oh yeah, the huge pyramid scheme the university system is. Like you graduate a degree of Egyptology, you get a master's in Egyptology. I can't get a job anymore, so now you have to pursue the PhD. It's like, bro, it's like, you know, I know a lot of people think Andrew Tate's very controversial, but what car does your business professor drive? He drives a Toyota Prius because he wants to help the environment. But what do we drive? A Toyota Camry right now.
Well, I drive a Dodge Charger. Okay, I'm polluting the earth right now. Okay.
Yeah, but inshallah, very soon, very soon.
No, I just look at some people. I feel like it's wrong to me to say because I should have a certain level of apathy or empathy or whatever. But I just don't.
Empathetic people, at one point, they're just tired. Like, they lose patience of trying to help people. I think Lord Bear was talking about this too. Is you can only be patient with people so long seeing them doing things that don't benefit them. And the thing is, to bring this back to what we were talking about before, is you care so much about what these guys playing video games think instead of achieving your goals. Like, bro, come on, man. Come on. And the thing is, right? What makes life beautiful?
Success.
Suffering the consequences of things. I'd rather experience sublime suffering than cheap happiness, bro.
I believe it's bearing the fruits of your labor.
Exactly. You want to sow those seeds in now. And then eventually, they say money doesn't grow on trees. But it does grow on trees. You know why? Because those leaves are used to make paper. I'm fucking with you. But it's more of a metaphor, to say the least.
You want to plant those seeds so you can bear those fruits of your whatever it may be, and just in the future have those things. You know, I believe that's what this life is. Everything that is good, it takes effort and it takes work and, you know, dedication. I believe a lot of things in this life, in this economy, this world, maybe, everything is sterile. When you wake up every morning and you just know that everything in this life is just about everything. Now, obviously, I'm not saying there was exceptions to things. I believe that the godly things, everything that was given to us by Allah, is gonna bear fruits in the future, and our job is to listen to Him.
Yeah, and it serves to give meaning in people's life. Where you look at the two-world theory, where the two-world theory says that there's a life that's going to come after this one, and that serves to give people purpose, knowing that there's going to be somebody that judges them.
Well, that's part of bearing fruits. You plant the seeds in this life. Those seeds are you do good deeds, you do good works, and you worship the Most High. Those are the seeds of this life. Inshallah, those will transfer over to the Akhirah. You know?
Yeah, and Julian says you wanted a couple parables, correct? I got you. I got two lined up just for you. Just for you. Just for you.
That, and I want to hear about flat earth theory.
We'll go into flat earth, don't we? In a different episode, not today's episode. The first one is you look at Lake Ontario, right? You saw how vast Lake Ontario was. So much water in Lake Ontario. Now, this life compared to the next is like you dipping a single finger into that lake and lifting up a drop. So that drop is this. And the single moment we're experiencing right now is merely an atom in that drop compared to the next life. And that serves to show you how inconsequential what you're going through is now. And some people might say, oh, but you're invalidating my feelings. For me, when I realized how inconsequential it was, it helped me to cope or deal with the situation better. It helped me to sublimate it from beating myself up, taking an external locus of control, to taking an internal locus of control, bringing the power back to myself. But obviously, you need to have trust and faith in God. Now, this comes to a story of a Japanese man and his wife on a boat. So, upon their wedding day, they're taking a boat to their honeymoon. Now, the ocean was like rocking waves, rocking waves, rocking waves. It's like when I'm in bed. Okay, I'm not going to say that part.
Haram.
Astaghfirullah. The waves were rocking, and they're getting massive, massive, massive. You know, they say, I think Julian says this, they say that there's very quick performance, but no stamina when it comes to coach. Okay, anyway. So, and then the waves are rocking, and the wife's getting scared. Oh, what's going on? What's going to happen to us? The boat's rocking. I feel like we're going to tip over. Oh, man. Oh. And she looks at the husband, and the husband is standing there calm, serene, just looking at the storm. Bring it on, brother. Bring it on, right? And she looks at the husband, and she goes, how can you be so calm in this moment? You know what the husband does? Samurai whips out a sword and hands it to his wife and says, point it at my neck. The wife points it at his neck and says, do you think I should be scared right now? He's like, no. He's like, why? It's because I love you. And then he says, I love my creator, and I'm also in the hands of my beloved, so why should I worry?
SubhanAllah.
I'd first like to start the remainder of this episode by reminding us to vote for Donald J. Trump to make America great again.
Vote for controlled opposition.
Vote for the controlled opposition. The controlled opposition. In fact, you know, we were planning on talking about the obesity rate in America.
I have firsthand experience in that, actually.
Yeah.
Because I host, well, I don't host, but my city hosts tournaments in baseball fields. And I'm aware of what they're feeding these people on weekends. And they're feeding this to their children. And at this point, I was like, how do you expect your children to be healthy? If this is what they're like, if you're allowing your children to consume fried chicken tenders from God knows where, like, what are you expecting the outcome to be? These things are just planting seeds for them to grow up to be little bowling balls in the future. Good Lord.
I can't even say anything because the moment I picked up this guy Rubiani, I was eating a KFC sandwich. So I'm just going to stay quiet and not say anything about the obesity rate because, you know, I don't really have the best diet myself, Rubiani.
Well, it's changed ever since I told you to start eating egg steak and blueberries.
Yeah, raw eggs is definitely the way to go. You take a shot of hot sauce in that raw egg and then pew, just like that, right?
Just like that. So you 10 extra testosterone right there.
Why do you believe so many people in America have become obese?
They don't have self-control.
Oh, you're donkeys. Oh, sorry.
They can be, but it comes down to not having self-control. They lack, I guess, education. I don't know, to be honest, but my experience in America is just, I see too many children, especially because the adults, they're adults, you know, they can make their decisions. But when I see these adults that have children and their families just looking like a bunch of bowling balls, it's like, what? Why are you doing this? That's child abuse. I believe that is child abuse. If you're doing this to your children and you're making them look like a shape, like an elementary shape, you're doing your children a huge disservice. I just look at it as abuse, and that's the problem I see mostly in America. Because once people are adults, you know, they're adults, they can make their own decisions. It's on them. But it's the children I have sympathy for, especially.
The issue I have is that they make fast food so cheap and accessible for people and make organic and healthy food so difficult to find.
Organic.
Especially if it's from people with lower income backgrounds. Because at that point, I can't even blame the kids. And to an extent, obviously, everybody has to take personal responsibility for what they're going through. But they just make it so easy to be obese. They make it so easy to be an idiot, to be degenerate. It's like, look, bro, to go and have haram relationships with a woman, very simple. You just swipe on Tinder, you go to the club, you talk to one or two, three girls. You say, hey, you're cute, let me get a dance. Make out with them in the corner, buy them a drink, and then take them home, right? But when it comes to finding a wife, it's extremely hard.
And it's only as hard as you make it, honestly. And going back to the point is that they make everything so easy for you. Yes, however, the choice is ultimately yours. No one's forcing you to pick the cheeseburger. No one's forcing you to make out with the random girl. No one's forcing you to do any of these things. So I believe it comes down to how you look at yourself, whether you have that victim mindset or you have that authoritative mindset. And I believe it gives you more power to take authority and do what's right, Islamically, of course.
How do you adopt an authoritative mindset? Or how do you stay consistent in having an authoritative mindset?
You realize what you are. Easy. You realize that you were given a purpose on this earth, and you were given dominion of this realm, it's free will. And when you have these fundamentals down and you know what you are and what your purpose is, then, and you're grateful on top of it for all of it, you keep that mindset, that authoritative mindset, you always keep it in mind because you're constantly thinking about, wow, I'm so grateful for having dominion of all these things. I could have been a damn cockroach, or something. I don't know. But when you constantly have that in mind, you're always going to want to claim authority and never want to be a victim.
How do you find the right clothes to wear?
You go, a lot of, okay, so here's the thing. I think a lot of people, a lot of men, they overcomplicate fashion. They try to be too matchy or whatever. No, it's just being simple, Right now, I'm just wearing some leather Italian loafers, wearing a button up and some blue trousers. And I just, decorate myself with jewelry. And that's all there is to it, honestly. You just keep it simple, see what colors look best on you. And obviously you want to be in shape and you want to, take care of yourself, and you're gonna be rocking just about anything. But the key is not to overcomplicate.
I'll be honest with you. I think what's more important than what you wear is your physique. And building a physique comes down to consistency. So this goes back to the point we we're talking about obesity. Is the reason why people go to the gym and they go, why am I not making progress? Is because you're very inconsistent with what you're doing. It's the same thing with anything in life. If you remain inconsistent for a long period, you're not going to see progress. It's until you are consistently lifting, you're consistently taking care of your diet, you're consistently consuming the right information and applying, not just consuming. There's a difference between consumption and application, right? Consuming and then applying the information. Then you'll see results. Results comes down to consistency.
Absolutely. And if you can consistently get that input and convert that into an output, and you do it over time for a long period, you're gonna have basically anything you want in this life. I believe anything is possible in this life if you're willing to put the work in and you're consistent at it. It matters more of, how the clothes look on you. Basically, you make the clothes look good. Clothes don't make you look good because I could be like some fat slob and wear the exact same thing I'm wearing. Well, the difference is I'm still gonna look bad in this, in this clothes, even though this is some fine clothes, I might say. We look very stunning and handsome right now.
Of course.
Oh, very enchanting. But what's more important is I have a good physique that I can wear these clothes in, Like you said, it's more important how your body looks. The clothes ultimately is just the cherry on top.
Of course. Speaking of cherry on top, let's discuss that. You have the famous saying, if God didn't make it,
Don't take it.
Right? Do you mind going into what you mean by that?
Just because it grows doesn't mean God made it. There's a lot of things such as like potatoes or peanuts or something like that. Those are not made by God. They're still better than like 99% of the food that's out there. But you want to look at things that were kind of created on the day of creation, like coconuts and mangoes, things that have or fruits and vegetables that have alkaline in it. So as long as you're picking these fruits and vegetables that have alkaline in them, you're gonna be fine. And you're consuming lean meats such as steak and chicken, these kind of foods, because ultimately these foods are untampered with for the most part. They're gonna make you shredded year round. Because how are you not gonna look shredded if you're just constantly eating fruits, vegetables, and meats, and eggs? No, can't forget eggs, and eggs, raw eggs.
Yeah, you have a very controversial take on carbs.
I think it's best not to eat unless you're in a bulking period. Even then, I recommend eating like wild rice or something like that, because the rice that we're fed now, it's done on purpose. I believe these foods that they feed us are just to make you dumb down and kind of stupid. So I believe that a lot of those foods have an effect on your mental performance and your mental abilities and all that, because ultimately you are what you eat. And if you're eating crap like rice or pastas or any of that, you're ultimately just gonna end up slower, worse version of yourself.
But how do you mean it makes you stupid, bro?
Have you ever had a bowl of rice or a big bowl of pasta, right? And you just gulped it down, and then afterwards just feel bloated and full and just lethargic? That's what I mean. And a lot of times that can carry over to the next day or the day after, whatever. And at least that's my experience for myself and a lot of people I've talked to. They've told me that, yeah, they just feel bloated, just feel bad about themselves, just feel like shit. So
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'm starving right now myself.
it's okay. We're going to get some lean meats after this, aren't we?
Of course. I don't want to take that in a sexual manner. What sort of lean meats would you recommend people eat?
Steak, chicken, lamb, pork. Just kidding. Haram, guys. Haram. Just joking. Astaghfirullah.
Well, let's say you're somebody on a budget. How do you go about finding the right foods to eat?
You're gonna have to fast. If you're on a budget, it's gonna be more pricey for you to get these higher quality foods, but at the end of the day, it's quantity versus quality. And I would, if I was like dead broke, I would always choose quality because you are what you eat.
You know, that's something I've been suffering with lately is I always go sit down. Do I want to pay my thumbnail designer or do I want to go and buy food type thing? Yeah, it's just making those difficult decisions. What do you prioritize? Like we were discussing before. And I feel like at this moment in my life, that's also why I cut a lot actually. I lost a lot of weight recently. Like I used to be like 180, 170. I got down to like 160, 150. You saw it, bro. My belt doesn't even fit. I had to borrow Julian's belt today to record. And I think a lot of it came down to the fact that I wasn't even prioritizing my health. I'm like, okay, let's just work. The woman you spend time with, or the people you spend time with, especially the woman you spend time with, truly helps to make or break you as an individual. And I don't want to say, oh, it's all the other person's fault. It's obviously it's my fault. I have to take responsibility and accountability for the situation I put myself into. Because at the end of the day, when I talk on the day of judgment, God's going to look at me. Am I going to blame the other person or am I going to blame myself? I'd rather take on responsibility because all a man can do is take on responsibility for his failures, right? Because the only way to grow from said failures, taking responsibility, because then you start focusing on what you did wrong rather than focusing on what the other person did wrong. That's a very valuable lesson I took from Patrick Bet-David, actually, despite the fact that I disagree with a lot of his political stances. And it also comes down to the thing we're discussing with heroes, where you don't want to take everything that the person says. You simply want to take the points that you need in that moment to help you improve.
I actually don't like Patrick David.
No, you're not a big fan of him?
No.
I feel like what happens a lot with content creators is in the beginning, they talk about things that they enjoy. They talk about their passions. And that results in them attracting a certain audience. It's the same thing with Hamza Ahmed, right? But then eventually they reach a point of fame where they begin to more so pursue views, pursue clicks. And also that comes down to the video I made with the, chasing the shadow of Andrew Tate.
Mm-hmm.
Is I felt I got to the point where I was no longer enjoying what I was doing, enjoying making videos, enjoying working, enjoying reading. I feel like I was doing it simply to get my end goal or make money. And I don't think making money is the end goal itself. The end goal itself is reaching who you want to be at a certain point. Money is a byproduct of that.
Absolutely. I believe you're a competent individual. You're going to get paid no matter what.
Yeah.
In this life, it's just think about it. Most people who are competent get paid. It's just the reality of life. But that brings me to my point that I hope with this content creation journey, it doesn't come down to be just wanting clicks and views and this and that. My vision is to actually project the vision I want for the future for myself and for other people even, and make that a reality for us. I believe that comes down to sharing your worldview and making people understanding that. And if they see that to be the truth, then a lot of things can be possible.
Yes, like money is richly abundant, time is deathly poor. Rubiani. So we've been discussing diet, correct?
Right.
What do you want to eat after this?
I want to eat Korean barbecue.
Of course, and we'll do exactly that. And, the place we're in is pretty much a shithole, correct? What do you see at the end of it? Where do you want to be long term?
Over the ice wall. Okay, no, I'm kidding.
True flat earther through the way.
I want to be in my own island, my own society and civilization, bro.
Not in the hollow earth, bro?
The who what?
Isn't the earth hollow, bro?
What do you mean hollow?
Do you know the hollow earth theory?
No, I don't.
Bro, oh yeah, it can't be hollow because the earth is flat, correct?
Yeah, so it's like you got earth, below you got hell, above you got the heavens.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
I honestly don't really understand flat earth too much, bro.
It's not that complicated, don't worry.
Maybe I'm overcomplicating it.
It is. It's just pretty simple, to be honest. Earth is flat. Allah made it. Heavens is above. Boom. There's no proof of space. That's all there is to it.
How do you mean there's no proof of space?
Bruv, look up a picture of Earth on Google, bruv. It's just a bunch of, like, the lenses are all kind of, like, curved and whatnot, so it looks like there's a curve. But if you look at other videos that reach that same altitude, A, the Earth isn't going me and spinning, and B, it's flat, bruv.
I'll do some research into flat Earth theory, and then I'll figure out if I want to believe the spherical model, the global model.
No, I mean it comes down to you, but it's like you just look, once you look into it, you're gonna be like, ah, of course.
Inshallah.
Plus, I just took a flight here, bro. I was looking at it. I'm like, man, I can see the clouds just go down for miles. I saw zero curvature, bro.
You saw zero curvature, right?
No, bro. You can see like because they have there's the clouds that they put out in the airplanes. You can see them stretch for miles. I'm talking about super duper long, and there is not. It doesn't go like this. It just goes like this until the end of the horizon. Yeah. And I'm just like, there's no curve. It never goes like this. It literally just goes like this. So,
Did they give me? Did they? I don't know. This is really random questions, unrelated to everything we're talking about.
uh-huh.
Did they give you any food on the airplane?
Yeah, I had a biscotti.
What's a biscotti?
You know those little cookies? They're like my little comfort food. I used to like them when I was a kid. So even though I am against eating carbs, I do like the biscotti. I'll make an exception just for the biscotti. These are the little crackers they gave you that are kind of sweet. It's a little bit like coffee, kind of. Have you been on a plane before?
I have, bro. Obviously.
Have you never given you the little cookies?
No, bro.
They're not okay. When they offer you pretzels, nuts, or cookies, what do you say?
They never offered me pretzel, nuts, or cookies.
Bro, what is this country come to? You're living in a shithole, bro. How are you gonna live in a country that their air service doesn't even provide you freaking cookies, pretzels, or nuts?
This is a great way to end the episode, actually. So, Rubiani, pleasure to be recording in person together for the first time. Inshallah, we got some great things planned for you guys in the future. We will now be co-hosting the remainder of the episode. Funny enough, we actually have 4 episodes we already recorded. I think one was Meta Discipline, one was Dave, Yusuf Leeds. Oh yeah, wait for the Yusuf Leeds episodes. Yeah, you would act like a look to pull. Oh yeah, okay. That was a great episode to be honest. Yusuf Leeds is a great brother.
Alhamdulillah.
But the lighting on his phone wasn't too good, let's be honest. But yeah, so the plan right now is this will be episode 20. So you'll be seeing this as release episode 20. After episode 20, we'll be co-hosting the remainder of everything. Inshallah. As we usually do. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?